Next. Ah, how are you? I'm just waiting. Everybody's all upset. Everybody's all upset. Raptured dreams and people running around like just brutally arresting people. I don't know who these people are, man. It's like seems like weird Gestapo kind of stuff going on, but I don't know. Hopefully they know what they're doing, right? What do you do when your government is doing those kinds of things? You guess you kind of hope that your government is doing what it's supposed to do. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting time. I looked at the clock and I'm like, what should I do? What should I look at or preach on or whatever? And I opened the book up. I said, should be Revelation, right? I grabbed Revelation. I opened the book up and it was on Revelation 4:4 at the top of the page, like up there. And then the time was 4:44. Yeah, it made me laugh. The throne in heaven. Man, he tears up these churches, doesn't he? The church in Philadelphia. These are the words of him who is holy and true. Is there a difference? Could he be holy and not true? Who holds the key of David? And that's just somebody that makes a decision, not defiled with any kind of leverage from one side or the other. Nothing. What he opens, no one can shut. Why? Because he follows this. If somebody attacks against this, they can't stand a chance. Do you want to know what Napoleon said about this book? He said, the Bible is no mere book, but a living creature against which all who oppose it will be conquered. Which is to say, what? It sounds like Israel to me. You're fighting against Israel. God prevails. standing. And the voice that I heard speaking to me like a trumpet said, now where was the trumpet? The trumpet was behind him at first, right? So now it's in front of him as he stands. So literally this is saying I'm running from both ends of the stick here. You know, the trumpet talking behind him. Who's behind you? Get behind me, Satan. Why would Satan be behind him and telling him what to do? Because if you're a Jew, then Satan's your helper. We're not afraid of him like Christians are. We don't blame him for everything like Christians do. Somebody asked me, they said, was Jesus the first Christian? Or was Jesus a Christian? And I'm like, it depends. You could answer that question and actually say yes. If you believe that the Christ is a spirit that he had, then he would, then yeah, and that would even make sense because he was the firstborn of the dead. So there you go. And the voice I had first heard speaking to me like a trumpet said, come up here and I will show you what must take place after this. At once I was in the spirit, and there before me was a throne in heaven with someone sitting on it. I'm thinking maybe it isn't like the throne, right? It just says, I see a throne in heaven with someone sitting on it. And to anybody that would like to argue, well, but it's in heaven, it doesn't matter. There's thrones before the thrones, okay? So there's like, oh, if you're going to rule in heaven, you know, I mean, why do you think I practice so much? I sit in this chair hour after hour after hour, studying the word, reading, teaching. Yeah, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life and eternity, even probably. Can't wait. After this, I looked, and there, at once I was in the spirit, and there before me was a throne in heaven with someone sitting on it. And the one who sat there had the appearance of jasper and carnelian. Now, you have to look at these stones because these stones are not only as part of the breastplates, but actually each tribe of Israel had a particular stone assigned to it. So to see somebody that appeared like, and you're going to have to go find out for yourselves. I don't do all the work for you. What do you think? No, dude, I'm out here screaming for help to put all this pieces together. Okay. I know how they work. You can go do some work. So you would look at this and you would see someone who had the appearance of jasper and carnelian. Well, what tribes' stones were jasper and carnelian? You know, it could be like the first and the last. Like it might be, to me, okay, jasper, carnelian. If I'm remembering right, jasper came in multiple colors. So like jasper would be like Judah, and carnelian would be like, I don't know, Israel or something, right? A rainbow resembling an emerald encircled the throne. And there you go. There's another stone that embraces or encircles the entire throne. That sounds almost like Judah, right? Because the scepter never departs from his feet. Doesn't matter which way he's facing, which way he's going, right? Encircle the throne. Surrounding the throne were, 24 other thrones. So what is the ultimate throne? I mean, if that throne represented like the qualitative purpose of the 24 thrones, it would be like the center throne would be like for God. And then what would the 24 thrones be? Well, they had 24 elders in the church. They had 24 books in the original Hebrew Bible. If you were to think of it as looking at it towards time, which is how I view it, I view this as being time. Each of those 24 thrones represents an hour. And all of those thrones must be, you must have gained all those crowns or whatever, because those thrones also run time. So it's like this hour for this throne, and that throne makes sure that this hour does what it's going to do, kind of ruling from the kingdom from heaven, right? The reason I use time is because some of the numbers that are given in the book of Revelation, like the number 1260, that can actually be calculated out to equal 52 weeks of 24-hour Sabbaths. So you got, there's one Sabbath every week, right? And then you got 52 of those. So that means I get 1,248 hours of a place prepared. That leaves 12 hours for the 1260. That's the last half hour of silence in heaven when no prayers are said. It's also the last night. No work happens in the last night. None. Because it's the sea. The sea will be all used up. Everything comes from the sea. There's no more sea. There's no more night. Only light. No idea what time it is. Nine. One less than the angels. At once I was in the spirit, and there before me was a throne in heaven with someone sitting on it. And the one sitting on it, that could be you. What does it say? No one comes to the Father except through me. You would literally be accessing the throne through the Word, the 24 books of the original Hebrew Bible. Those 24 thrones could be the united family of Abraham, Ishmael and Jacob, 12 each. But who would believe that, right? Why should he be a great nation or anything, right? Just because God said so? I'll make him a great nation. It doesn't mean, what if that means there's only a great nation, one great nation? Then what? All the Lord was saying is everybody's going. And I believe that. A rainbow resembling an emerald encircled the throne. Surrounding the throne were 24 other thrones, and seated on them were 24 elders. They were dressed in white and had crowns of gold on their heads. From the throne, now, again, lightning, rumblings, thunder, all of these things are referring to communications from the throne, right? So from the throne came flashes of lightning. That's immediate judgment, right? Rumblings. Rumblings is like warnings. Peals of thunder is after the lightning, right? Maybe getting railed at afterwards, right? Before the throne, 7 lamps were blazing. There's your 7. These are the 7 spirits of God. And this is what gets me. The Lord is not mentioned there. It seems to, does it always divide Lord and God? Does it always say Lord and God? Everywhere where it says, because it says here, you have made them to be a kingdom and priests to serve our God. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty. So these are the seven spirits of God. I got to go with, that's got to be Isaiah 11, right? And those, again, those spirits, if you didn't catch my teaching on the seven spirits, those spirits are divided into two groups of 3.5. Okay, they come in pairs, and then the last one, his delight will be in the fear of the Lord, swings all the way back around and says the fear of the Lord will be upon him. So it's kind of like two sets of 3.5. One for obedience and one for works. They were dressed in white and had crowns of gold on their heads. From the throne came flashes of lightning, rumblings, and peals of thunder. Before the throne, 7 lamps were blazing. These are the 7 spirits of God. Also, before the throne, there was what looked like a sea of glass, clear as crystal. And it's like a sea of glass is a calm sea. Clear as crystal is to say that there's no confusion. You have to remember everything when there's no more sea, it means the sea is used up. Like Leviathan has no place to dwell. The Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. You must be born of water and spirit. In other words, spirit and water have to be joined. All the water gets used up then in the spirit, and then we all go up in a vapor. In the center around the throne were 4 living creatures. Now you've got 24, but you've also got the 4 living creatures, and they were covered with eyes in front and in back. And those are just like the 4 spirits, the winds, eyes. The concept of it having eyes is just saying that, not that God's watching, but more of the idea that everything is touching and connecting to everything else. You could call it randomness if you wanted to. You could view it as such, right? It's just the wind blowing, like, through the trees, like Jesus was talking about. But there are things about it that's not random. And that's what this book does. It teaches us about, well, yeah. I shouldn't praise the creator and curse the creation out the other side of my mouth. I'm disappointed, right? I can't help it. I'm sorry. I could see more could be going on here after all this time. In the center around the throne were 4 living creatures, and they were covered with eyes in front and in back, hemmed in from before and behind. The first living creature was like a lion. Okay? Remember, we got 2 lions, right? The second was like an ox, pulls a plow. This would be the coming of the Son of Man. So here's you're on your white horse, you get your crown, right? Then you're like an ox. So now you got your Bible. Do not muzzle the ox while it's treading out the grain. The very first letter of the Hebrew alphabet is an ox. The very last one is truth. You got to work your way all the way through the word, the letters, all of it. That phrase, don't muzzle an ox while he's treading out the grain, is to say, wait to see what God will do, right? So you're going to have 4 of these. So you got the ox, you got the ox. The third had a face like a man. That's because you get the scales, and then the fourth would be the flying eagle. So each of the 4 living creatures had 6 wings and was covered with eyes, and under his wings, and day and night they were saying, because the wind takes care of everything, right? Day and night. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty, who was and is to come. It's like they could be standing there, these angels, and staring at an unstoppable time machine that just keeps cranking out, you know. And when it says, those who were consumed by the fires were the one, the ones who built the fires were the one who was consumed by them. It's referring to our actions and the types of works we do. It's like it's a machine. We're going to get out of this thing what we put into it. Whenever the living creatures gave glory, honor, and thanks. Okay? You have to be grateful for it. Thanks, right? Honor and thanks. What if God did something you weren't very thankful for it? You were complaining about it. You just kind of chinged him for not being sovereign or doing maybe something wrong. Yeah, that was good, God, but okay, not a good thing to be, right? It's and what was the other one in there? Honor. You have to. You're always going to honor one father or the other. In this case, in heaven, right? And glory. That's a given. The Lord's involved. There's glory in the darkness and in the light. It just doesn't matter. Glory everywhere. Okay? Starts out with everything, divides it and assigns it to a father particularly, and then a willing and obedient servant versus a suffering servant saying, thanks, right? To him who sits on the throne and who lives forever and ever. The 24 elders fall down before him who sits on the throne and worship him who lives forever and ever. They lay their crowns before the throne and say, you are worthy, our Lord and God, to receive glory and honor and power now. Now it's glory, honor, and thanks. So can you see why it's switched to power? If you're grateful for it, you're enthusiastic about it. You're in support of it, right? Instead of just thanks, now it's like, woo, okay, let's invest in this, right? Okay? You receive glory, honor, and power. And then this is the part that's crazy. For you created all things. Remember, made and created are not the same. What does that mean? Created is just the first state. And in the state of that, we would look at it and go, that's evil. And God would say, don't touch it. I'm not done with it yet. Don't mess with that good and evil there. It's not done yet. I know you see evil on that tree. That's because that evil needs to be used for good. That's why it has both on that tree. Whatever the case. Respect, right? You created all things, and by your will, they were created and have their being. Oh. It doesn't look so good all the time, does it? Wow. The scroll and the Lamb. Then I saw on the right hand of him who sat on the throne and who sits on the throne. If you, when it talks about that birth and being snatched away to heaven to rule with an iron scepter, that's you. If you're a legalist, but how, legalist doesn't mean firm trashing everybody, right? What if somebody doesn't know this book? How do you treat them then? When it said, if someone is a heathen, you're to treat them as a heathen. If you go to one witness, two witnesses, three, then on the church pastor, whatever. Okay, now you're to treat them as a heathen. What do you do with a heathen? Sorry, you start over. Okay? You don't throw them out of the church and that, with excuses. Oh, what? They can't learn. They're corrupt. No, sorry. Polish that one up, fix it up, make it right. Help them to understand. Give them something to eat. Okay? Then I saw in the right hand of him who sat on the throne a scroll with writing on both sides. Okay, that writing on both sides is really, really important because they didn't write on both sides of a scroll. This is a marriage contract right here that this person has. Okay. And 7 seals, which is to say what? There's only one way you're going to get it. You have to be able to crack open all 7 seals. Okay. Sealed with 7 seals. I saw a mighty angel proclaiming in a loud voice. Okay. Who is worthy to break the seals and open the scroll? And then it tells you, but no one, okay, but no one in heaven. Okay. No one in heaven or on the earth or under the earth could open the scroll or even look inside it. So who's on the throne and gets slain if they have the marriage contract? They're a king on a throne, their own throne, and they're going to get slain because they're gonna be a lamb that's slain now. Okay. In other words, Jesus, by allowing himself to fall obedient even to the point of death to God, that's a lamb. That's what that means, to be a lamb that takes away the sin of the world, not giving you rights to go, unalive the Messiah. That was a big mistake. Who is worthy to break the seals and open the scroll? But no one in heaven. Remember, he came to claim the bride. That's a marriage contract there. But no one in earth or on earth or under the earth. Now, where does that say? It says in heaven, on earth, or under the earth. In heaven, on earth, or under the earth. Listen carefully. On another day, the angels came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them to present himself before him. And the Lord said to Satan, where have you come from? Now, why is he asking, right? To prove Satan will actually answer, but also the Lord has nothing to do with evil. That's why when he goes to send someone to kill King Ahab, he actually asks the evil spirits who will go. And then he lets them decide. And then he even says, how are you going to do it? And then he lets them decide. And then he says, okay, yeah, go. You'll be successful. I give you grounds and rights to do it. On another day, the angels came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them to present himself before him. And the Lord said to Satan, where have you come from? Satan answered the Lord, from roaming through the earth and going back and forth in it. Can you just see this thing inside you that wants to come out as good, and it's like just pacing back and forth? That lion is in there just going. Even Daniel in the lion's den, Daniel means judge. Who could stand in the middle of all those lions? The one who's a good judge. All his guys couldn't find anything on him, right? They tried to trip him up and snare him, right? And it's like, was God talking to him? I don't know how much God was talking to him, as much that maybe Daniel understood this book and the writings, and so could understand God. It's not a battle up there. There's no war going on. to speak of, okay? And I saw a mighty angel proclaiming in a loud voice, "Who is worthy to break the seals and open the scroll? Whoever wants to get married." But no one in heaven or on earth or under the earth could open the scroll or look inside it. I wept because no one was found who was worthy to open the scroll or look inside it. So now, can you understand what Jesus did when he was the firstborn of the dead? He literally came as in the likeness of man. Well, then guess what we are? Devils. Okay? I wept and wept because no one was found who was worthy to open the scroll or look inside. And I agree with that, because if this was to be representative of a scroll, man, I can go all through this thing and see every which way that it's been manipulated for people to use it for their own purpose. And worse, you can use it for your own purpose. That's fine. Do whatever you want with it. Roll it up into joints and smoke it if that makes you happy. I don't care. But when you use this book to hurt other people and against people in that way, oh boy. Wow. Wow. Have you crossed a bad line, Captain? You're going down. Do not weep. See the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Okay. And what does Judah mean? Praise. Okay. So the Lion of the tribe of praise, the root of David. What is the root of David? David praised. He was beloved. David means beloved. Has triumphed. Okay. He is able to open the scroll and its 7 seals. Then I saw a lamb looking as if it had been slain, and that's the one that was on the throne now. Marriage covenant. Thank you. Okay, you're slain. As if it had been slain, standing in the center of the throne. So where was he at first? Sitting at the right hand, I guess, right? Sat on the throne, right? Now he's standing in the center of the throne because he's upright, right? He's been lifted up. And when Jesus was talking about the Son of Man must be lifted up, he wasn't talking about being crucified. He was talking about you lifting up the Son of Man, which is the spirit inside of you, the breath of life, to the importance of it, to lift it up so that people be held accountable, I guess. Jesus said himself, you'd be better off if you had not seen me. And I say the same damn thing. Standing in the center of the throne, okay, encircled by the 4 living creatures. And that is like the winds are just surrounding you and you're in the middle of it. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful vision. Encircled by the 4 living creatures and the elders. He had 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God sent out into all the earth. He came and took the scroll from the right hand of him who sat on the throne. Now, wait. Now, if one is standing in the center of the throne and then he came. Where I'm going, you cannot come. Pay attention because there's stuff hidden in here like this. He took the scroll from the right hand of him who sat on the throne, and when he had taken it, that's the marriage covenant. So now the 4 spirits, even what goes on at night, are now understood because you understand that both good and evil working at the same time. 24-hour day, day and night. He came and took the scroll from the right hand of him who sat on the throne, and when he had taken it, the 4 living creatures and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb. This is the vision here. Uh, do you know how it says that all authority has been put under his feet or given to him from heaven? You have all that authority already. That was given to you in Genesis. That was given to you in Genesis. All authority from heaven was given you. Free will, right? That's what it is. All authority does not mean the rights to do whatever you want. All authority just means, yeah, you were given that. Rule over this, rule over that, rule. Okay, we were given all that. That's all authority. So this when all the elders and it seems like it's basically, it depends on how you look at it. You could say, wow, well, that's like a coronation or something. You've been labeled as a king with all this stuff to do. And it's kind of like, yeah, but the problem is we were labeled with that, what, 4,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago? What have we done? What is this we have done? Nothing. By the looks of it, I don't know. Maybe this is how it's supposed to be. And we're just supposed to, it's just stupid until we just burn this thing out. Nobody ever shows up, and all we do is just keep destroying each other with it. And we're like, we're gonna have Beavis and Butthead in a church somewhere, and they're gonna be like, "Hey, baby, like, should we like, what should we preach on today? I don't know. How about fire, fire? And he came and took the scroll from the right hand of him who sat there, and when he had taken it, you're married. The 4 living creatures and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb. Each one had a harp, and they were holding golden bowls full of incense, which are the prayers of the saints. And they sang a new song. You are worthy to take the scroll and to open its seals, because you were slain, and with your blood. Now, blood, okay, with your blood. Your life is in your blood. There will be an account. There will be an accounting for all of the blood, for everything that has the breath of life in it. So to say, that I have paid for something with my blood, that's just offered my life in service to it. I don't necessarily have to spill my blood in order to do that. Okay? And with your blood, you purchased men for God. Men. Wow. From every tribe and language and people and nation. It's inside you and out there. Don't forget that part. You have made them to be a kingdom of priests to serve our God. And how do you, let me ask you something. People think this kingdom of priests and they see, white marble and holy and all this wonderful stuff, right? What happens if everything that's out there is working for our Lord in the dark and in the light, no matter what, at all times? That's what's going on. It's like a bunch of, everybody is a priest already. It's a time not seen since the beginning of time. Look at this. You have made them to be a kingdom of priests to serve our God. Like I said, there's willing and faithful servants, and there's suffering servants as well. Okay? The wicked are reserved for the day of judgment. They haven't started working yet, apparently. Or have they? Oh, wait. Are we in judgment? Oh, yeah, I guess everybody does say it's judgment all the time, don't they? Then I looked and heard the voice of many angels. That just doesn't sound good. Okay? God is not like Solomon. He wouldn't have, bunches of angels. If these angels that are like this are just messengers, and those there could be many, many of, all right? These could be bad angels, numbering thousands upon thousands. Now that's interesting. Numbering thousands upon thousands. This isn't how many angels there are, it's what they're doing. They are numbering thousands upon thousands, people that are thousands, and 10,000s upon 10,000. There, this is right hand, left hand. Because isn't it a thousand will fall at your right and 10,000 at your left or something like that? Then I looked and heard the voice of many angels, and they're using both hands. They encircled the throne and the living creatures and the elders. In a loud voice, they sang, "Worthy is the Lamb who was slain to receive power and wealth and wisdom and strength." Now it has turned into glory, honor, and power. Glory, honor, and power has turned into power, wealth, and wisdom, and strength, and honor, and glory, and praise. Wow. Working with both hands now. I think that is the laying on of hands, and it is raining. It is raining. Hope you folks are listening to me. Then I heard, okay, this is both hands, right? Both hands. Then I heard every creature in heaven and on earth and under the sea and on the sea and all of it. Oh, man. That's what this is about. You're married, both hands. Heard them all singing to him who sits on the throne and to the Lamb. In other words, our God and his servant, the Son, which hopefully you are, be praise and honor and glory and power forever and ever. The four living creatures said, Amen. And the elders fell down and worshiped. Oh, man. Do you know how our God would smile to just have this happen? If people could really understand what this means. And see, there's no more prayers, there's silence in heaven. So the golden bowls full of incense, which are the prayers of the saints, they won't be filling up those bowls anymore. It is raining. I made a sandwich a couple days ago, and it's like really old, but I gotta eat it. I have to eat it. I can't waste any food. It's messed up because one side of the sandwich is hard because the bread was, it was kind of just sitting on a plate in the fridge. I don't feel, I ate most of it, so it's not going to make me sick or anything. It's just kind of, you know. Man, are you like ready for Revelation 6 now? Tennessee. Phew. I got friends out in Tennessee. I shouldn't say it. It's more like family out in Tennessee. But I don't know where he lives. And I don't want to know because he has to be kept safe. So how did you feel about that explanation of Revelation 4 and 5? Probably a lot different, right, than what you've ever heard. It's because people see they can't see that we have access to heaven, and at least through our actions, right? We might not how do you say it? We might not step foot in the place, kind of thing, right? But where is the command structure from, right? How do we communicate with them? What's the process? How does God run it, right? And that's what it is. It's when it says that angels are ascending and descending upon the Son of Man, that's literally like you with messengers coming from heaven and from hell. And the ones that are evil coming from hell, are you fighting them? No, no, you're saying, ha, evil, I'm going to use you for good. I'll figure out this here. I'll use this for good too. And in some cases, the what you might be using the evil, you got to use evil to make the evil good, right? Because it's evil. So what do? Partiality. Partiality is evil. I'm going to forgive it. All gone. Doesn't count now. I forgave it. Just like that. And the other angels are coming from the other side, and they're going, go out and do this, stay up all night, preach, don't stop, do this, do that. And you're going, oh, I'm tired, I'm falling asleep here. And those angels are going, now is the time, come on. Revelation 6 is the seals. So since we've established that you are the one cracking open them seals, I can only imagine what's going to happen as we start to unroll those. We're going to go through stages. And I would suggest that since it's going to be a 7-step stage, the first 3 stages, 3.5 stages of these 7 seals are probably going to involve darkness, some kind of maybe lawlessness where law is disappearing. Because you're going to go through if you have to break all 7 seals, you got to understand every place that our God exists, right? He's in the darkness, he's in the light, he's down the street, he's sitting right here, he's everywhere, right? His spirit is everywhere. And so since it's 7 seals, you need to take that time, that section of time, and cut it into 3.5. So you're going to see a definite difference between the third, in between the 3rd bowl and the 4th bowl. I would expect something weird to be thrown in there, because that's as in a divided section, right? You got part of 3.5 and you got part of the, 4 on up to 7, right? Half on up to 7, or would that be half to 3.5, right? It's just a choo-choo train of time, is what it is. And it's gotten the best of us. I'm going to put some music on, and I think I'm going to wander around for about maybe 5 minutes or so. And if you guys would like to go freshen up and so on, that's cool. I'll hang out when everybody comes back. Keep on going. What? Bigfoot. run out that cord. Likes to do herself. She opens her own doors. With money in her pocket, she still likes to steal from stores. Something must have happened when she was just a kid. Just a kid, a little lamb. She hides. Oh, sorry. She hides. She keeps her brains inside the books upon her shelf. No one really knows her. She don't even know herself. God knows her. Something that she ate or something that she did. Sin. Something must have happened when she was just a kid. Just a kid. My little lamb. It's just like it's like a kite flying, you know, or I don't know, like a hummingbird zapping around between a bunch of flowers, maybe. Something that she ate or something that she did. Something must have happened when she was just a kid. When the stars in the sky, she does things that she cannot tell you why. That's Paul. Sometimes she does things and she cannot tell you why. What I want to do, I don't do. It's somebody else doing it. I don't know. 8. Something that she did. Something must have happened when she was just a kid. 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 I guess I just don't know if I'm worst or if I'm best. You just have to put it to the test. Make me feel I don't belong. Every choice I have is always wrong. Always think she's being kind and believing I can read her mind. I want you 'cause you seem so far away. I got you, could you please just go away? I want you in my bed, but you could be somewhere else instead. Your wavelengths I endure, but I wish you weren't so insecure. You think that I'm alone, trying to squeeze blood from in a stone. You treat it like a race, but I've just got to have my own space. I want you 'cause you seem so far away. I got you, could you please just go away? I want you in my bed, but you could be somewhere else instead. You wake me side door, but I wish you weren't so insecure. An open letter, an open letter, an open letter. Ow! Oh. Ow. I hope you're blessed in me, in Chris, in Christ. That's the spirit you're shooting for, okay? That's what you're trying to get. He's already in you. So here we're going to talk about the seals. So I watched as the Lamb opened the first of the 7 seals. Then I heard one of the living creatures say in a voice like thunder, okay? Just a warning. Come. I looked, and there before me was a white horse. Its rider held a bow, and he was given a crown. And he rode out as a conqueror bent on conquest. Now this is the Son of Man. This is the coming of the Son of Man. If you look at the direction, these horses, one appears in the east, and then it goes south to the red horse. And this is out of Zechariah also, right? Then north to the black horse with the scales. I would like to point out that although a lot of people associate the rider with the black horse as being famine and all that kind of thing, it is true. It can cause famine, but why would the horse going north give the Lord comfort? Because of the scales. Because of the scales. In other words, the second, well, we'll get there. The second horse is the red horse. The great sword he's been given to take peace from the earth. That's this thing right here. This is 3.5 days. Halfway there would be like 3.5 right there. Going north, now you're on the other side. You're kind of breaking into the light. All right. I watched as the Lamb opened the first of the 7 seals. Then I heard one of the 4 living creatures say in a voice like thunder, "Come." I looked, and there before me was a white horse. Its rider held a bow, and he was given a crown. And he rode out as a conqueror bent on conquest. Now, I don't think that that's really a great translation of that, because it should be conquering and to conquer. There's a reason why it's written that way. It's conquering and to conquer. That war can be everywhere from out there to literally inside yourself. Okay, it's a big place we can get ourselves in trouble. All right, start in here, then go out there. Oh, what is this? What do we have here? Thousand. That was 10. That was nice. But when it says, let me see what this one says. Check this one out. I didn't know Malachi was an Italian prophet. Did you? Kind of crazy. I hope somebody's laughing out there. Please. Um, second seal. Now I watch when the Lamb opened one of the seven seals. And so this is like the coming of the Son of Man. Okay, this is the same Lamb. He's going to make his journey now. Again, the Son of Man is inside of you, but it's also something that, you know, when it's written that they will mourn as if for a lost son, that's what it's talking about. Behold, a son inside of you. And why? What's with all the virgin stuff? Is there any sexual activity happening here in order to create the fruit that comes out of you through this quote unquote son that is serving Father God or Father lies? No, there's no type of contact like that. That's the 144,000 that haven't defiled themselves with a woman because she's still considered a woman. Your spirit, Ruah, Torah, Lady Wisdom, all of that, always going to be a virgin. Doesn't mean she hasn't had a lot of kids, though, right? The harlot is the one who's jumping between two fathers. So go figure that out, right? That's actually referring to when it talks about the harlot that has messed up the kings of the earth. Remember, when you come out on that horse, you have a crown. Okay, you're a king. Okay. What land have you been given to rule? I don't know. I go look in the mirror myself and go, wow, what a dirtbag. And then I have to remind myself, well, all the earth is holy and all that's in it. And then it still makes me feel like I need to, I don't know, go see a taxidermist or something, right? Yeah. Can you help me out here? I think I'm really offending God, and have him just, stuff something worthy in there, right? But anyway, now I watched when the Lamb opened one of the seven seals, and I heard one of the four living creatures say in a voice like thunder, "Come." And I looked, and behold, a white horse, and its rider had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he came out conquering and to conquer. Okay? All of these doubling up of things, there's reasons because, people hear that word or phrase, son. There's a reason why some people see this white horse rider as being the Antichrist. You realize that, right? Some people see they can fit this in as it being an evil person. And it's like, I would just say this. The Son of Man, people take that phrase or that title and they quantify it as to say it means that person is good. And that's not right. It's not, has nothing to do with good. There's nothing positive at all, right? It's just Son of Man has to choose. And that's even in Numbers 23:19. There's good sons of man, there's bad sons of man. It's just a, if there is a way to describe heaven and earth and everything as a machine, dude, you could diagram all this stuff out. All the parts and components are labeled in here. It's like, but everybody, I don't know, I get weirded out and came up with some of the stuff that they have, Nothing wrong with the book. Nothing. So anyway, and behold, a white horse, and its rider had a bow. Now, if it's some people say that's, the very same word is used for the bow that's in the clouds. And so that could be meaning I have a covenant, right? I understand now, so that would, or if it's the bad guy, well, he gets a crown, he's got his kingdom he's going to rule over. But yet what? He, well, he's a bad king, for starters, but he's kind of powerless because he has no arrows. And that's what they says about Satan, right? So what happens when he gets to the first spot there? He's given a great sword to take peace from the earth. What is the great sword? The devil's going to use the very same book that everybody uses. He's a Jew, probably. And he will use that to what? To take peace from the earth. That is, and the thing is see, where I see it being proactively ignored by people who should better understand, the way Satan would attack you with this is even if you weren't a Christian. Even if you weren't a Christian. Remember what Paul says about the law, Romans 12 or 2, 12 to 14? Everybody's everybody's under the law. Jews should be grabbing at Paul like as if he was a Greek god. Because he says something the way he states it, right? He talks, his teachings are awesome. Okay. Sin is the power of the law. And it's like the power of the law is sin. It's the same thing, which means, well, how are you then under the law? Don't sin. And then you look at Romans 2, 12 to 14, you see that it applies to everybody. Everybody's under the law. So this sword being in the hands of, we'll just call him Satan, some spook, right? How is he using this book to attack people that don't even believe in God? Because these are just the rules. Like Paul said, have the law, don't have the law, don't matter. And so this is why, this is what Jesus was trying to show us. Now the books are open. Hey, it's sad what we've done here. But anyway, he's on a white horse, and its rider had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he came out conquering and to conquer. All right. And that's you as a brand new son of man. You kind of aren't a son of man yet. Son of man takes that whole path. All right. And both do and will, right? Everybody goes that same route. The one who defuncts the law, those kings, they're exactly the same thing that are being tormented, right? Because of the unbreakable law. And since it's unbreakable, do we need to enforce it? No. Have to go, brother. Keep doing what you're doing. It's not for nothing. You said Holy Spirit. I like Holly. The Holy Spirit will bring people to. Yeah, I know. My problem is, I think, Amanda, honestly, they're going to show up long after I'm gone. I don't know. Then prophecy will be fulfilled, right? I will get to come and go like a thief in the night. So basically, he's I'm gonna keep going here, but hey, have a good night, okay? I've helped you so much today. Even though the song you played, even the song, oh, it was healing. That's that guy is that's from the movie that I'm in. That's my buddy Jerry Peterson. So Jerry was a very kind man, and you can hear it in his lyrics. They're all, they all, but I can look at almost everything and see our God working, right? And that's what it is. And when it's hard to see him working, when the person's all screwed up, drunk, sitting on a street corner, right? It's like, and yet I know, okay, he's working on that guy. That guy can't be enjoying that shit. How do I gently let him know that what's happening to him is coming from my God? He's He's fulfilling promises that he probably doesn't even know were ever written. But those are the promises of the curse. And that person's living their life and getting exactly what it is that this thing says they will get. And instead of teaching people from that perspective, that you can't deny the Lord, right? You can't deny him. You can't mock him. It just comes back on you, like I'm rubber, you're glue. It bounces off me and sticks back on you. Unless it's good, then I'll keep it. But anyway, I just seen 444 on my microwave, and then this video pops up. No. That's how it starts. If you're who is that? What's your name? Hey, I want to tell you something, Mrs. C. If you're a pattern person, you should run from me, because if you're a, I don't know. It depends on what you think. Like you said, this video popped up, but I'm talking about Bible stuff. But I just want to tell you that here's what happened. Christianity ruined Christianity, or Christians ruined Christianity, because when you can understand the Bible as a Hebrew or a Jew would read it, and I'm not trying to convert you to anything. I'm just saying to read it from that perspective, including the New Testament, all of it. It all fits together, and once you can recognize the pattern structure, it's like certain things mean certain things, right? Like certain kinds of metals have certain kinds of like gold. That's the best, right? There's a statue where the head is gold, and that refers to thinking and your how do you say, your place of the skull. You got some godliness in there, or at least some good beans, right? And you're able to do well. But then what? And again, this is a statue that describes it, right? Well, now I got the next portion is silver. Well, what should I discover about that? Well, silver is slave wages. What do slaves do? Well, they work with their hands. What do we know about our process here, right? There's a left hand and a right hand. And somehow I can't let the left hand know what the right hand is doing. How in the hell are you going to pull that off? Well, so then you start realizing it's talking about spiritual stuff when it talks about left hand, right hand. Then you dig in, and then you find more and more and more. And then now we're in the book of Revelation, and that's what I'm reading about. And you missed, like, I just went through 4 and up to 5 and through 6. And we've decided that it is you that has taken the scroll and is thus looking like a lamb that was slain, because now you're going to be obedient. And so now, because you've taken that scroll, which was a marriage contract, because marriage contracts are written on both sides, not like, they didn't write on both sides when they're making a Torah or, scrolls to teach from kind of thing. It was always on one side. Marriage contracts on both. And actually, that's why the 10 Commandments even were written, the first set, why it says that. They were written on both sides to indicate that it was a marriage contract. That was our marriage covenant, the 10 Commandments. Just do these simple things. But what happened is when Moses threw them down, the other side of those got lost. Yeah, he threw them down just like that. They got lost. And, well, I guess we don't have a full set anymore. We're kind of rebuilding from what we understand about the one side. And it's interesting. You would think that you couldn't do that, but you can if you talk to Bill Gates. What you do is you take a trinity of hard drives, and then you write information from, one to the other. But then there's information on each drive that supports the rebuilding of all the, so it's like you can, in theory, you could lose, 2/3 and still rebuild it from what was left over, but you're going to have a hell of a time. And you're probably going to lose some. Yeah. Love technology. So we're in 6, and we've already picked up the white horse, and we've decided that that horse is the first horse of the coming of the Son of Man. So that's you on that horse. You're going to take a journey now as the Son of Man. You're going to show up at the end of the lightning bolt. What's the lightning bolt? Your horse starts in the east, then it goes south to the dappled or the red horse, then goes north, the black horse with the scales, and then it heads west. That's a lightning bolt. Okay? So that rider has a bow, and a crown is given to him, and he comes out conquering and to conquer. When he opened the second seal, busting the second seal now, okay? So now, going to build on it, right? I heard the second living creature say, come. Whoa, wait a minute. Okay, so now you got living creatures. So now you got, do you remember what the living creatures look like? The first one was a lion. The second one was an ox. The third one was a man. And then the fourth one was an eagle. Okay. So the first one was what? Was a lion. That's why this first horse looks like, there's people that explain this first horse is a bad guy. There's 2 lions. So anyway, he opens the second seal. Now this is the ox. Now remember, the ox represents the one that's pulling the plow. It's like the law that can't be stopped, right? You shall not muzzle the ox while it treads out the grain. If you look at the old Hebrew, the first symbol was ox, and the last letter was truth. So it's kind of like the ox walking through all of those letters, okay? And that's getting deep into the Hebrew and stuff. There's a lot of creepy mystical stuff if you want to dig into it. There's so many patterns and weird, well, that's where Kabbalah came from. People started recognizing the pattern structure of this word, and they were able to relate it to, you know, trees of life and all kinds of, it's weird like that. I don't want to get into that in here, okay? Let's keep it simple, keep it safe. Instead of keep it secret, keep it safe. Like, you know, I mean, because really, what I'm showing you is, I don't know. This is so damn simple here. Anyway, come, and came another, and out came another horse, bright red. Its rider was permitted to take peace from the earth. How do you feel about that? Right? How do you feel about that? When it says, you know, its rider was permitted to take peace from the earth. Do you imagine somebody going out, running around, you know, from continent to continent on this red horse, making trouble for everybody? I think it'd be better for you to consider yourself as being earth. For dust you are, and dust you shall be, and all of that, right? That's earth. That's what Adam means, earth. So remember, the earth was created, and then the Lord put his spirit in it. All right? Well, when it says that that rider could take peace from the earth, that's, you know, and you're given a great sword. As I read this book, I don't really have much peace. You know, it's troubling to me. And this is even, and this is actually in the Gospel of Thomas, this very thing. He who keeps knocking, knock until you find, and then when he finds, he'll be disturbed, and all of that. That's related to this. And it's like, so this sword takes peace from the earth. If I read this book, I should be able to find peace. But when I look out there and compare and think about what's going on and everything, you know, I know that I should believe that God's in control, but I'm no different than everybody else in all of time. that has just said, when, God, why, right? Well, I'm one of these people that if I don't hear a voice screaming back at me, telling me why, then I figure it must be so blatantly obvious that I'm just being stupid for some reason. I just keep digging, right? And like, even when the pandemic hit, I thought about it and said, the wages of sin are death. People are dying. Is there a sin we're committing? And yeah, it was like very basic Old Testament health laws that could have saved us. Two very simple verses. And I knew them the day before anybody even died in the US, if you can believe it. Isaiah 40, Exodus 14:14 and Isaiah 26:20 I added. It's like, there's things that you fight by avoiding, right? And whatever the hell they created in that lab that busted loose, man, that must have been some bad shit because it messed some people up, didn't it? Hey, I'm like, I'll just hang out over here, man. I'll wait for you guys to get all done with it. But anyway, let me keep reading here. So the second horse, okay, it's its rider was permitted to take peace from the earth so that people should slay one another. And he was given a great sword. And it's kind of like, was he given a great sword after he did all the slaying? If he's given a great sword, does he got the sword? When is that? And he was given a great sword after all of this? That sounds like somebody kicking everybody out of the Garden of Eden, ain't it? Don't come back. But the red horse, right? That's the Bible is the great sword. So literally, that's somebody that can cause trouble because of that's like a legalist, anybody. Those kinds of people, right? We know why people don't like Christians now, right? Because they went around saying, "Oh, you'll be hated for my name's sake. I need to beat people up," and it's like, can't you understand that you're drawing your own fire? It's like, dude. Those, it's if those who understand this law and actually can meditate on it day and night to study it, understand that it works at two different times of day. It works during the day in the light, and it also works at night. And both of those times are completely separate in how they work. It is a double-edged sword, completely different between both times. Still accountable to the same God, still gets everything accomplished. Just why night, right? Why? What's the point? When you understand what it's for, don't do it anymore. It's defiling my spirit to hear you swear, sir. You must be holy, especially if we claim to. Okay. I'm sorry. Do you remember the guy that looks like a sheep and speaks like a dragon that you're expecting? Hi, that's me. Yeah, I was born in 1964 and I even have a dragon tattooed right on my heart. Yeah, go take your great sword and make some trouble somewhere else, okay? Defiling your spirit. If that was so defiling of you, I don't know, you got enough, man. Go out and help some people. That why are you listening to any scripture if you know what defiling means? You don't need it anymore. Now go help those to get in line. all in single file. Decide if they're going to go in front of you or behind you. That should be tricky for you. When he opened the third seal, now remember, these horses match the horses in Zechariah, okay? When he opened the third seal, I heard the third living creature say, now what was the third living creature? It was a man. Okay? Come, and I looked, and behold, a black horse, and its rider had a pair of scales in his hand. You know what's interesting? That rider had scales in his hand. Paul's problem, he had scales in his eyes. Okay? Yeah. And I heard the third living creature say, come. And I looked, and behold, a black horse, and its rider had a pair of scales in his hand. I wish it said right or left there, but it doesn't say. And I heard what seemed to be a voice in the midst of the four living creatures. Now remember, everything's in 3.5. So now something in the middle of the creatures, right? And you're on the second, you're going for the third horse? And I heard what seemed to be a voice in the midst of the four creatures saying, a quart of wheat. Now, if it's the four living creatures, remember, those who follow the law of God, we're living off the vine, right? We're living off the wine and the oil and the grapes and stuff, right? The other people, they are getting their food based on the other stuff that they do according to those spirits, right? And those four spirits are different. You know, you could have a son of man that only makes it to the point where he gets the scriptures, and then he's just out there just causing trouble and has useless, right? Guess what that is? That's on the other side of the earth right now. They're using this to start war. Its rider had a pair of scales in his hand, and I heard what seemed to be a voice in the midst of the four living creatures saying, a quart of wheat for a denarius and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius, and do not harm the oil and the wine. So that right there, now denarius was typically a day's wage. When you got a denarius, that was, what you were going to get. So they're basically saying that, it was going to cost a day's wage. That's what your day's wages were going to end up being, right? The reason why they're using these two different, between wheat and barley, if you've ever seen wheat and barley, the way the grains are, wheat has more than barley does. It seems insignificant, but you have to understand the reason and the concept for the different fruits they talked about and the seeds that they contained. Okay. So like, for instance, the fig tree is often associated with Israel messing up, right? Kind of thing. Remember when they sewed fig leaves together, they took that fruit, which then was representative of the sin, and then they needed the leaves to cover themselves, right? Well, guess what? I'm sorry, I'm recollecting something else somebody said. It's making me laugh now. But it was probably Tobias Singer, to be honest with you. But the figs, okay, because of the amount of seeds that they have in them, they're representative, like just massive sin, okay? Lots of bad stuff you shouldn't be doing. Well, since Jesus saw that there was no fruit on it, him cursing it and saying, may there never be any fruit on you again, was to say, may there never even be an opportunity for sin. Right? And there you go. Right? The leaves of the trees are for the healing of the nations is also tied to that. But the quart of wheat for a denarius and 3 quarts of barley, the wheat had smaller seeds. I think it was, wasn't it? I think does the barley have bigger seeds or smaller seeds? But the wheat typically was for bread. The barley could be used for, maybe bread, but not so great, or you could just eat it. But it was also made for alcohol and beer, and representative of not following in the right way. So this rider with the scale, still weighing, but able to account for both sides of this story, right? You've got for good reasons, but you've also got this weighing and what's going on with this bread or the grain. Now, the do not harm, the oil and the wine is referring, the oil is referring to the Spirit, and the wine is referring to, again, there's different kinds of wine that come from, to not harm the wine would be for me to say, your wine is kind of like the results of your day's work, right? I might end up with good wine in my cup. I could wind up with bad wine. If I really jacked up the day, it could be vinegar, right? But I get in my cup what I get from what I do. And I shouldn't strike back at God as to say this wine isn't good. It's like, I made that wine. I did this, right? So it's having those scales, the ability to teach and even show without ripping people apart that God's like a bad guy or ripping down major judgment with scales kind of thing, right? That's what Paul did. That's why they fell from his eyes. He understood the law, but he didn't understand that evil had its place too. Stay in front of it. Don't kick it. Don't try and crush the serpent's head. Lift it up if you must, okay? Lift the snake up, just like Jesus said. The serpent. Yeah. So the black horse, its rider, and he got scales and and 3 quarts of barley for denarius, and do not harm the oil and the wine. Okay. So it's saying give them what they get. And as far as the oil and the wine, those are represented. Don't damage somebody's spirit. Don't water down the wine. If they are doing what they're doing and they're getting what they're getting, let them know why, right? You're a rider on a black horse that went north and it's supposed to give the Lord comfort. You know what would give the Lord comfort? More people that would work. Or help those that can't so they can walk or hear or see. When he opened the 4th seal, I heard the voice of the 4th living creature say, come. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse. And its rider's name was Death. Is that bad or good? I don't know. Paul said to die is gain. Hades followed him. Okay. That is proper positioning. If that's bad and I'm here and I'm in front, I've died, hey, fine. That's behind me in the right spot, right? However, if he was the bad horse, what follows him? Destruction. It's weird because he's heading west, but what's in his wake? Destruction. That there's a I don't know what psalm that is. 23 maybe? 119. I will dwell in the house of the Lord, and grace and mercy will follow me all the days of my life. All. Bother anybody if I take a sip of my beer? If I don't swear? When that says that, grace and mercy will follow me. It's not talking about chasing you around so that it's there for you. It's saying that's what you're going to leave in your wake. So when this rider goes through death, what are you going to leave in your wake? Is Satan behind you as you died? Or are you leaving a trail of destruction in your wake? Yeah. Hang on a minute. I gotta calm something down over here. Oh. I can't afford any good candles anymore, and that thing is like this. Wow, went nuts, man. Needs a trim on the wick, so I gotta wait for the top to mellow out. Everything is junk these days. It seems like. Just saying. So his name is Death, and Hades followed him, and they were given authority over a fourth of the earth to kill with sword, and that's just saying going against God's law, okay? And with famine, that's not reading or knowing God's law. And with pestilence, that's maybe abuse of God's law because you should know how to open up the abyss or keep it shut, right? Yeah. We open up, I can tell you many times we open up the keys to the abyss. And one of them was on 10:7. And by wild beasts of the earth. And that's just saying the wild beasts of the earth are the, representative of the four living creatures. The four living creatures. Your friends when you when you blow it. When he opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of those who had been slain for the word of God and for the witness they had borne. Now, if they were slain, they're under the altar, number one. Think of the altar as like a table where maybe God eats or something, right? So if there are these people under the altar, what are they? They're the dogs underneath the table. Okay? Do they deserve to eat too? If you don't understand what was being talked about there, in that passage where Jesus says that, and I'm sorry I don't have it prepared. Maybe someday when I can actually live a life and get some stuff, I'll actually be able to organize some of this stuff if it even means anything by then. But there's a lady that says, even the dogs under the table, and Jesus says, you're, okay. Now this is awesome faith here, right? It's to say that everybody counts, even the dogs under the table. And that's what this is referring to. This is referring to other people that have died, waiting under the altar for everybody under the sun to humanity to die, however it is they're going to die, that they can be under the altar. They're slain for their testimony. What is your testimony? It doesn't mean something good. You can give your testimony in a murder case, right? And you're the defendant. It's like that term "son of man," right? Read Numbers 23:19 and see how you feel about the Son of Man. What about Job 25:6? Right? Man is a maggot and the Son of Man a worm. Was he insulting? Is that why Jesus said that? Sins against the Son of Man will be forgiven. Don't call me a worm. No, Son of Man is not some glorified term. You are a Son of Man. That's you. But the Son of Man has to have faith to serve, or you don't, I guess. So when he opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of those who have been slain for the word of God. And these are just the souls, right? And for the witnesses they had borne, the witness they had borne. They cried out with a loud voice, O sovereign Lord, holy and true. Hey, everybody knows who's who, right? How long before you will judge and avenge our blood on those who dwell on the earth? Now remember, slain for their testimony. Underneath the table, dogs, people mistreated. Okay? I think that when Paul said, watch out for them dogs, to look at it from a positive standpoint. I think, what does a dog do? Dog eats the same thing over and over and over around me. In some cases, they even eat their own back end, right? It's like, what are you doing? But they do. But guess what? Somebody who sits and goes to church every Sunday reading this book, the same things over and over and saying the same exact things, and our world hasn't changed. Dogs. Miserable dogs. I'm sorry if my video is jumping around. My channel gets under attack. Circumcision of the heart. God is love, and we must have love for one another, or we have no relationship with Christ. Christ is in you already. It's inside of you. When he opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth living creature say, come. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and its rider, his name was Death, and Hades followed him. Remember, that's that eagle. And they were given authority over a fourth of the earth to kill with the sword. That's the scriptures going against it. Famine, lack of knowledge. And with pestilence, excessive knowledge. And the wild beast of the earth, just random, doing stupid stuff. Even brother against brother, hand against hand. When he opened the fifth seal, I saw the altar of the souls of those who had been slain for the word of their God, the witness they had borne. They cried out with a loud voice, O sovereign Lord, holy and true, how long before you judge and avenge our blood on those who dwell on the earth? And do they flip between on the earth and in the earth anywhere in here? Because that is important, by the way. Then they were given a white robe and told to rest a little while longer until the number of their fellow servants and their brothers should be complete, who were to be killed as they themselves had been. What does that mean? To be killed as they themselves had been. If you're a lamb being slain, obedient lamb slain, right? When he opened the sixth seal, I looked, and behold, there was a great earthquake. Now the sixth seal, that's going to be the big one, because that's going to be the last, well before the seventh seal. Seventh seal is happy day, right? Sixth going to be major. And on that day, If the Lord is to provide the light and everything else, this is going to be shaken to heaven wildness, right? Madness. So here we go. He opened the sixth seal. I look and behold, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth. So there you go. The law has just disappeared. If the sun is gone, the law is gone. The full moon became like blood. So instead of water, because remember, the moon reflects what the sun shines. So instead of water, lacking of the sun, the moon and night now have no purpose and turn to blood. Remember, the night is just the time when the spirits work. But if, in lacking, knowing that that's happening, the moon is dark and it just looks like night is just garbage. It doesn't mean anything, has no purpose. Every night has a purpose. Its purpose is to hopefully be the very last night. If you want to work on that, let me know. If you're serious about that, let me know. Where's it at? When I had sixth seal, I opened and behold, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth, and the full moon became like blood. And that's important that it says the full moon, because half of the moon would be for good and the other half would be for evil. The moon is like evening. It doesn't say there's night. Okay, the darkness he called night, and the light he called day. But after the day, there was what? Evening and morning. Evening and morning. Then what? Evening and morning. What happened to the night? So this is the end. When he opened the sixth seal, I looked up, and behold, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became as black as sackcloth, and the full moon became like blood, and the stars of the sky fell to earth. That's saying that all this leadership that was supposedly out in heaven, somewhere else, we now understand it was a little closer to home than we imagined. They fall right on the earth. Okay? Stars fell to earth as a fig tree sheds its winter fruit when shaken by a gale. The gale represents a spirit, winter fruit. That's at the end. That's like at the end, the very last days. But look at what he's saying. The fig tree. Why is he mentioning a fig tree again? Sheds its fruit when shaken by a gale. This is a bad thing. This is saying that God ain't showing up right here. This is where is your God is right here. This is it. Okay? The sky vanished like a scroll that is being rolled up. See you later. It's just a book. And every mountain and island was removed from its place. What are the islands and the mountain and all that? Those are all the religions and everything. Gone. Okay? You're watching this happen. You're watching the final beast stomp everything that is left into nothing. It's happening right now. Then the kings of the earth and the great ones and the generals and the rich and the powerful and everyone, slave and free, hid themselves in the caves and among the rocks of the mountains, calling to the mountains and rocks. In other words, you're going to be You're going to go to all the leaders and all these people that knew all this stuff, and you're going to be rattling these people. Where is our God? Or where is your God? You know, I would be upset when he doesn't show up when this time comes. Okay. um, Fall on us and hide us from the face of him who is seated on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. Who's the wrath of the Lamb? You brought it on yourself. You're a bunch of disobedient lambs that have gone their own way. That's the wrath of the Lamb. You're the Lamb. Congratulations, Son of Man. For the great day of their wrath has come, and who can what? Stand. Stand. And there we go. We made it all the way up to 7. And I'm getting tired of watching my video bounce. So be just a moment.